In this episode of Planted, we're in the amazing Olalla garden of Josie and Bill Sproules. Now this is a family that knows how to have fun.
We're going to explore wise and whimsical ideas from their landscape that you can steal for your own garden and discuss how effectively to use any kind of garden art.
And Maria is going to share her inspiration for gardening and why she's made it her career.
You're going to love this woodsy, casual, and very personal garden.
There's so much to be learned from a beautifully designed landscape. What ideas can you steal from Josie and Bill Sproules' amazing garden?
We're going to share techniques that make this garden work and how you can do it at home.
The first thing that makes you say, wow, are the lush and colorful mixed beds. Mixed beds include a variety of plant types: trees, shrubs, vines, grasses, perennials, and ground covers combined with attention to contrasting shapes and textures. Josie wants color from spring through fall, and her mixed beds deliver. What a riot of color and texture.
I like that even though this garden is on relatively flat ground, it doesn't feel flat. How does she do it? There are several techniques Josie has used to create a dynamic space that is both calming and exciting.
One of the techniques Josie has mastered is layering. This refers to choosing and placing plants for a variety of heights, arranged in the foreground, mid, and background. This gives landscapes a pleasing fullness and visual depth.
The layering that makes this garden a private, peaceful oasis starts with the lovely forest. When the Sproules cleared this Olalla lot 33 years ago, they took care to clear only what was needed for their home and garage. May the forest be with you.
The evergreen conifers provide a tall, deep green backdrop for the tended garden that includes smaller deciduous trees like maples, dogwoods, and large and medium-sized shrubs like hydrangea and viburnum, flowering perennials, and ground covers that spill over the edges of the border and knit the shapes and colors together. Josie learned the power of layering from her aunt, who taught her to alternate heights up and down to create visual balance.
Another cool technique is how Josie created a sense of movement with the inundating rocky borders with a little elevation that adds immensely to the impact of the layered plants. She learned from a friend to avoid sharp, straight lines, which can be distracting and makes lawns hard to maintain. She used a garden hose to lay out the soft curves, adjusting until the sweeping looked just right.
Josie describes her garden as woodsy casual, or jokingly as organized chaos. The technique she uses for mixed beds that include a bit of this and a bit of that is repetition. Repetition is a proven technique to effectively combine a variety of plants, garden ornaments, and construction materials to achieve a landscape that looks intentional and cohesive.
Josie repeats her favorite plants to tie things together. 7 Cusca dogwoods from the original trees grown by her grandmother and mother bring height and a cloud of white summer flowers. Winter Daphne are a sturdy mid-height evergreen presence and her favorite scent. Golden Hakone grass with great texture, bold color, and a flow that softens edges works well in a multiple beds. Stashies are Josie's current favorite perennial, from the low-growing alba to the upright, long-blooming pomelo that brighten just about every bed.
And it's not just plants that are repeated. Glazed pots in bright cherry blue stand out especially well in winter. Driftwood pieces set upright into spires or used casually to define paths, and main wide pathways all work to tie together exuberant mixed beds.
One last technique you can steal for your garden: the way paths bisect beds that draw us from sunny lawns into the leafy shade. Not only do the paths lead us to new spaces, but they direct the eye, creating a sense of anticipation and desire to explore what lies beyond.
The next time a garden makes you say wow, see if you can pinpoint what makes it work. You'll probably notice that plants are layered, the garden has pleasing edges, and repetition of plants, colors, and construction elements. Not to mention paths that beckon you to stroll.
Thank you, Josie and Bill, for letting us steal ideas from your garden. 33 years of willingness to experiment with new things and new plants has truly paid off, and it's proof that the more you grow,
the more you know. Josie and Bill Sproules use art outdoors to bring joy to their surroundings. Their garden is very personal and uniquely beautiful, partly because of their garden art, much of it handmade.
What is garden art exactly? Sure, we all love the Chihuly sculpture in the Botanical Garden, but how do those of us with an average budget incorporate art into our home landscapes?
Using Josie and Bill's example, in this segment, we'll share recommendations for what, where, and how to use art outside.
There's no formula for selecting and using garden art, and Josie would be the first to tell you that the question number one is, do you love it? If so, there's a place for it in your landscape.
Josie is great at finding fun decorations that can be repurposed to dress up the garden, loosening the term garden art to be less precious and more inventive. Choosing where to put a garden ornament is a fun challenge. One of the ways it can be used is as a focal point to be viewed from a well-visited spot, such as a front entry or kitchen window.
It's quite a view from Josie and Bill's kitchen window and back deck. Just sitting and staring peacefully at the garden from there reveals all sorts of surprises.
Josie loves her garden to be colorful and new in each season. She likes that what art stands out depends on the time of year and what's growing around it. Treasures more visible in winter become less prominent as spring and summer bounty take over. Art that is tucked in provides an element of surprise when it comes into view unexpectedly as you head down a path.
Art can be a practical item, like a bench constructed with found materials, or an embellishment that calls attention to a functional piece, like an arbor.
Decorative objects of wood, stone, concrete, and metal are hard and enduring, standing out against tender and ephemeral foliage and flowers. Gleaming, colorful glass or ceramic can echo the colors of nearby flowers. Pieces that bring movement to the garden are especially joyous.
The famous landscape architect Thomas Church wrote that outdoor sculpture survives the changing seasons, yet is not unchanging. While you'll want your ornaments to be weatherproof, the patina of metal, the bleaching of wood, a coating of moss should be welcomed. How the piece interacts with nature is what makes it part of the garden.
Always consider scale. If the piece is large, allow room to move around it. This fabulous gong Bill repurposed from a huge aluminum dish feels balanced among the large trees and shrubs around it. If the piece is small, place it where it stands out or in a grouping. Generally speaking, a single carefully located item has more impact than several unrelated ones.
Some of the most enchanting garden ornaments don't have much monetary value. Natural objects such as driftwood or intentionally used stones can create an understated focal point. Salvaged items cleverly located or reused bring a sense of casual ease and humor to the garden. The things Josie and Bill create are fun and bring a smile. A case in point, Bill built a clever Thunderbird totem from oak barrels.
Josie loves to collect driftwood for building sculptures, for adding vertical interest to a bed, and for plant supports that blend in. She collects stones that are naturally shaped like hearts.
Many of their handmade pieces have special meaning for their grandchildren, making them feel part of the garden when they visit. A collection of dozen or more frogs is fun for the boys to search for and count when they play here.
Okay, Planted viewers, courtesy of Josie and Bill Sproules, your challenge from this episode: find or make something you love and put it in a spot where you'll see it often.
Feel free to move it around as your garden changes. It'll make you smile. And remember, the more you grow,
the more you'll know. Welcome to our segment called Why I Garden. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Maria Taylor, my Planted co-host, to learn her gardening story. Maria, did you garden with your family as a kid?
I did. I grew up in and near the forest, and I think that helped create my love of nature.
And then later in life?
Later in life, I started as a teen. I worked in a grocery store, and I was drawn to the ladies who worked in the floral department. I wanted to be part of their team, and so I approached the manager and I asked if I could work in there, and they taught me the ins and outs of floral work and boutonnieres and corsages and all of the wedding stuff.
Oh yeah, well that's endlessly creative work.
Yeah, it really is. I think it also helped create my love of cut flowers, and so I wanted to make a cut flower bed at my own house.
Well, there's nothing like cutting a bouquet from your own garden just to make you feel happy.
Right, it really does.
So what influenced you to make a career in the nursery industry?
I just think it was the constant love of plants. And then I was asked to become a wedding designer at my current job. And then that led me into becoming the container designer.
Custom container designing, tell us what that is and why you love container gardening.
I love that they are like mini gardens, right? You can take them wherever you need to. You can add pops of color where you need to. They're endlessly changing seasonally. They're interesting. And I really like creating something for the customer.
How does gardening and being in a garden make you feel?
I think it just helps you to remember to slow down, and it creates this calming experience that we also need. And it's my favorite place to be, even if it's just in the morning pulling weeds and drinking coffee.
Coffee and gardening, that's a thing, I can testify.
Exactly. It makes me feel comfortable, and sometimes I feel like the flowers understand me.
What do you like best about being a gardener?
I like the challenge, right? I like the challenge of working in a garden center and the knowledge that you're constantly gaining, talking to new people, learning new things. Last year, I met a lady who created this expansive, beautiful lavender garden so that way she could distill her own lavender and make perfume.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. There's so many niche gardens out there and different things that you can take and adapt and learn from.
Yeah, I agree with that. Do you have a garden philosophy?
Okay, I think it would be, it's okay if the plant dies, right? And move it around if you need to. Recreate a garden. You don't have to be stuck in one thing. Choose a spot, start there, and then let it slowly expand and build from it.
So your advice to a new gardener would be, you're gonna kill things, right? So
Yeah, you're gonna kill things.
You just mentioned that. So.
You're gonna kill things. You're gonna find things you love, repeat them in your garden, or change it if you want to. One year you may have a cut flowers, and the next year you have vegetables, or you have vegetables and then you have a rose garden.
Well, lovely. Thank you so much for, one, being our co-host here on
Thank
Planted, and also for sharing your gardening passions with our Planted viewers.
Thank you. I hope you all love it.
Thank you so much to Josie and Bill Sproules for letting the BCAT crew spend a day in their peaceful garden oasis.
We hope Planted viewers enjoy this as much as we have.
Until our next episode of Planted, don't forget, the more you grow,
The more you'll know.